Hello, well we've probably got about 4 or 5 minutes before my little 2-year-old bowls in, so I just want to show you a really delicious, healthy and ethical recipe. So we've got some Osso bucco, which is the shank, and some oxtail. So this is the meat around the core of the tail, so that's the bone and the cartilage. It's a slow cook process, which means it's bloody easy. So you can see I've got a few ingredients on the board. We've got some tomatoes, we've got some onions, we've got some garlic, and we've got some herbs. But truth be known, even if you had none of that other than the tomatoes and the meat, you'd be good to go. Because there's so much flavour packed into these types of cuts of meat. Yep, sure, you know, a Scotch fillet is delicious, a sirloin, delicious, but it doesn't have the degree of the connective tissue that something like an oxtail does. You can see in there all the sinew, all the connective tissue, rich in gelatin, rich in collagen, that gives it not only mouthfeel, but flavour. So I've got about 2 Osso buccos and about half a dozen oxtails, and I've kept some of the blood, because we might need that. Need a crock pot or something similar, so I've got one here, and you can either throw it in the oven or you can leave it on the stove top, whatever, or if you have a slow cooker or a pressure cooker, there's lots of variations you can apply here. But I've just got some olive oil in there, and I'll bring that up to a medium heat. Meanwhile, we're going to chop a couple of onions. It can be rough and ready, it doesn't have to be super fine diced, whatever you feel comfortable doing. You can see I've got a few garlics here. I'm not afraid to throw a number of garlics into a dish. My wife will testify to that. You can leave them whole if you want. And as I say, even if you don't have half the ingredients here and you've just got the meat and the tomatoes, you'd still end up with a beautiful, healthy, emotional dish. Okay. So here's the other thing. If you really don't have time or the skills or the inclination to saute those onions and the garlic, don't worry about it. Same applies to the meat. If you don't want to sear it off or brown it off or caramelize it, it doesn't matter. Just chuck it in the pot, set and forget. So we've got the onions and the garlic sauteing, then we're going to add some herbs. And it's kind of a classic Italian dish in the sense that we've got some fresh rosemary, we've got some basil, we've got some lavender, we've got some bay leaves. So we're going to add some of these. Okay, we'll leave that for a couple more minutes, and we can see that the onion and the garlic are starting to soften. We're starting to build the base. So now it's time to throw in the meat. And remember, if you don't have the time, inclination, or the patience to brown your meat, caramelize your meat, it really doesn't matter. Okay, so we'll bring the temperature up a little bit. We will season, but don't go over the top because a lot of the minerals are going to leach out of the bones. We've got 2 sets of bones in there with the Osso bucco and the oxtail. So just season moderately, and then we can do it again at the end if we need to. All right, that's looking beautiful, nice and caramelized. We're going to drop the heat, and we're going to add some liquid. So in this particular recipe, we've got some tomatoes, or you can use broth or even coconut milk, coconut cream if you're making more of a curry. But basically you want enough liquid to cover the meat. I've saved some of the blood there. Just going to add some more water. The very last thing is some anchovies. If you're not into anchovies, leave them out. I don't think you'll probably notice anyway, but they'll just melt down. It's a 3 or 4 hour cook, so lid on. I've got that on a medium heat, so about a 4 or a 5. It can go in the oven on about 150, 160, and about 3 to 4 hours until the meat's falling away from the bone. To me, when I'm cooking for my family, it comes down to a few simple elements. We want to tick the health box. we want to tick the deliciousness box, but we also want to tick a green box. Are we doing something ethical? Are we giving back to the planet? And supporting regen farmers and Australian farmers, whether it's lamb, sheep or livestock, are some of the most progressive in the world. So we're in the best possible position to foster great outcomes. But the onus is really on you and I. We have to be our own little food detective. So ask your butcher, ask your fishmonger, ask your supermarket manager, where has that animal come from? Do a bit of Googling, jump on the website, see what that farmer's doing or that producer's doing. Go to Good Meat Australia, see what the resources are there, and you'll be in the best possible position to benefit you, your family, your community, and us as a species. Oh, hello. Those bones falling away. Looks pretty good to me.